Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Ideas. And my name is Denise. And today I have the pleasure of introducing Sam. How's it going, Sam?
Going good, going good. I'm Sam Mosaffa, creative director and founder of Safa Design, my clothing brand that we started in
That's
2021.
awesome.
And now we're here on the podcast.
That is so awesome. Yeah. And I mean, you and I ended up meeting in a clothing store, actually. And so that was pretty cool. That was like over South by Southwest weekend. And then we started chatting a bit
Right.
there. What got you into designing clothing?
I think from being like younger, like I always was just into clothes, paying attention to like what athletes were wearing, what celebrities were wearing, um, kind of just to like developing my own style as a young man. Of course, like starting off like just going to the mall, getting what everyone else is getting, and then like really growing into like what you like. Um, but of course, I'm always drawing inspiration from the ones around me and like people around me, pop culture, everything. But yeah, it is funny that we met in a clothing store.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about like when you reached out to me, I was like, first of all, I was super excited to hop on the podcast, and then second of all, I was like, man, we met in a clothing store. Like I was in a mode of like soaking everything in. I was like, yeah, I got to hop on this podcast. It's meant to be.
Right? I know, I can't remember the name of
Yeah,
it, but it was, like, super eccentric and really bright and colorful, and it
right.
had, like, some type of, like, '70s vibe.
Yeah, I think it was Aviator
Yeah,
Nation.
that one.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool. Had you ever
Super
been
cool.
to a store like that before?
I had never heard of that store actually, but being in there was really cool. The vibe was like it was a world of its own, like which is like something I aim to do with Safa too, is like design like this whole culture around it. And then, funny enough, we see a celebrity in there just casually shopping,
Oh, yeah.
which is like Bobby Lee.
I forgot
Yeah,
about
which was
that.
like super funny to just see him in the store, like grabbing what he likes and then hopping out. So it
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, he was all the way in the
was
back.
definitely a highlight. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool. I mean, and then we were playing pool too, which was, like, such an odd
We
thing to
were.
have in a clothing store. They had, like, a full pool table.
Right.
Yeah, and I think they had, like, some games or something, but yeah, I mean, did you end
Yeah.
up checking out any of the other stores on that strip?
We did. We did. We popped into a store next door that they had a lot of hats. I always forget the name of them. They're really good. And yeah, we hopped in a couple stores.
Nice.
Buck Mason, I think, was another one. So just checking out what was going on South Congress.
Yeah. So would you say that the style here in Austin is pretty different from what you're used to in Houston? Or I don't know where else you've been aside from Houston from our conversation,
Yeah,
but
I think like Austin definitely has like this like more of a freedom to it with their fashion choice, which is like very comparable to something maybe like the West Coast. Um, But of course, even the West Coast has like its levels to like what people wear. Kind of like there's subcategories. I wouldn't even say levels, but I like Austin is very free. Like you can mix and match. You can kind of like, oh, I like this. It might be a luxury brand, but the next thing might be just something from like down the street that you found, popped in. And you're like, oh, this cool small brand. So I like the liberty of there, and I feel like people are more like conscious of what people are wearing a lot of times. Sometimes in Houston, I feel like it can be a little tough. Um, it's a very like I feel like here it's very copycat. You kind of see what someone's doing and you kind of go off that. But there's still people with a lot of sense of style here. I know the whole like vintage store thing has gotten like really big amongst our generation. So everyone's trying to find something unique.
yeah. No, that is cool. I haven't gotten a chance to explore the fashion out in Houston, but here it just feels like, yeah, everybody either wears whatever they want or they're into like athleisure. I don't even know if I'm saying that right.
Yes,
So you just, yeah,
athleisure.
so you
Yeah,
just wear that everywhere because it gets so hot here at times that you're just like, well, I'm
right.
sweating anyway. I might as well be in workout clothes while I'm here. So
Exactly.
yeah.
It's actually one of the struggles I have with living in Texas in general is like I keep buying these clothes that I really like to wear, but like between like my daily schedule of like what I do, which is like after work, I'm usually hopping in the gym. Then after that, it's like pretty warm. So I'm like, I'm going to throw on some Nike shorts, a
Yeah.
t-shirt, and, go about my day, just navigate as easy as possible. But I do enjoy dressing up, of course.
Yeah.
Um, but the weather is a huge thing in my head that I kind of battle with that sometimes because I'm like, I got to be cool.
No, I get that, right? I mean, so,
Yeah.
are you born and raised in Houston, or did you move into Texas after a certain point?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Houston and lived here all my life, still living here. And both my parents are immigrants from Iran. They moved here in the 90s. So they're a big influence of like this fashion brand, of course, as well as they're a part of my roots.
Mhm.
And the reason I sometimes wonder why I even did like this Farsi script on a lot of my like clothing pieces, but I just knew like I wanted it to be a extension of myself. Um, so that's kind of why I digged into my roots. Iran has had like a huge influence of me growing up. Used to go there like every summer to visit my grandparents. Spend like 3 months of the summer there, like just hanging out. So it's undeniable at this point. So
Yeah. That's what I used to do when I was little too. My parents would send me off to Puerto Rico, and then I'd spend the summer over there,
right,
and it was also, like, hot, but, like, it's that Puerto Rican influence is, like, it's still in there, and it's
right,
still very much like, "I wanna be outside, I wanna be around nature," and this and that.
right.
Yeah. I mean, have you had a chance to go and take your brand over there to Iran?
No, actually, and maybe this is the brand might be a yearning of like that missing back home. I actually haven't gone back since like 2012. So I was about like maybe 14, 15 around the time. So it's been a while since I've been back. And I think that's just because of life getting busy, college, starting school, all this stuff. But I do hope to go back pretty soon just to visit again,
Yeah.
go explore a little bit more as an adult, uh, soak in more of the culture.
Mhm. And so when was it that you started this brand? Or when was it that you even had the idea of like, "Yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna start my own thing."
I think it was an idea that was like deeply rooted in my mind from a long time ago. And I'll bring up this story that I always think about is I was in this like business entrepreneurship class in high school. Um, and I wanted to, my project was I had to come up with some type of product that I wanted to sell or whatever it was. And I come up with this 5-letter brand called Safa, which was just the last 5 letters of my last name. And I remember at the time, I think I just had Microsoft Word. So I just typed in the letters and I put maybe like a small Italian flag. I'm not even Italian, but I put it like under
Yeah.
there. So I wanted this like feeling of a luxury brand. And then of course, like going through college, you become exposed to just like the internet. You're surrounded by, you're kind of mentally free now. You can explore everything, and there's stuff that you still like grew up watching: basketball, rap music, and at that time it was a lot of like Kanye West going on, Drake, just like these big cultural figures just dropping these things, and I'm just like soaking this all in. Um, and I think it's all relative to fashion in a way too. Just watching what they're wearing, what people athletes are wearing, and then I realized, no, like I definitely want to do this. I want to create my own clothing brand and give it a go.
Yeah. That's so cool. So, I mean, for you, what was the initial steps? Like, did you go and just jump into like design right away, or were you putting together a vision board, or what was like your initial process into that? Like, how'd you even get started? So you got the
Yeah, I
name.
think yeah. Yeah, the name was like something that was in the back of my head. I grabbed it and I was like, okay, if anything, like 17-year-old me wanted this to happen. So I have to use that name now. And it's direct extension of my last name. But I think the itch started to like kick in at some point, maybe in 2021. I'm just watching like a lot of YouTube and I'm kind of getting curious of like, okay, what does one person have to do? with to like get here. And like I think a big part of that was like I keep seeing like these things about like Virgil Abloh, which is like my favorite designer, which he passed away a few years ago. But a lot of his like philosophies were starting to come up into my algorithm of what I was looking at in the internet, and he really was just kind of putting out this idea of like, hey, like our time here on Earth is limited, and like why not,
Yeah.
you know? So that itch was starting to come in, and I'm slowly studying small things, kind of like, and I'm like really becoming enthusiastic about product. I'm like, I'm paying attention to what Nike is dropping every week. Um, and I think I'm starting to, I was purchasing a lot at that time too. And I was like, okay, I think it's time that I become a participant rather than a spectator. So that's when I started to get more technical with my vision and saying, okay, what's step one, two, three? But reflecting back to that time of when I started when I really made it official, like opened the Instagram and went for it, it felt like just jumping into the ocean. Just because it's just scary, you
Yeah.
know, for anyone to start anything or and to slap their name on it. Uh, yeah, I don't think like everyone's built for that, but I wish more. The purpose of the brand is to like push people to like stop being so scared. Like, go ahead, start whatever that project is, and you'll figure it out along the way. I mean, I'm still learning to this day.
Yeah. And so, I mean, yeah, I feel like that just is like the entrepreneur's journey is just,
Right,
yeah, you have a vision, you have this idea, and now it's, yeah, gathering as much information as you can, creating those connections that could potentially help you because I don't know, I feel like uh, something that we always forget is that we don't always have to be the expert in every part of what it is that we're trying to do. Like we can always go and ask for help and um, even offset some of the work there. But I mean,
right,
designing a brand and really putting pieces together, how much materials and um, yeah, I mean, like, how much stuff did you end up having to go through before you were like, "You know what? I really like this,
right.
this piece in particular." Everything else is like,
Yeah,
I don't even know, like, what do you even do with it?
yeah. I think I think like the first thing was like, okay, I'm gonna go get me a laptop, brand new MacBook, and my old one was done with after college. It had been through the ringer, so I was like, okay, let's go get a new laptop. Let's go get an
Mhm.
iPad. Let me start sketching out a few ideas of like what I want. Um, and I'm looking at a whole lot of like I'm referencing. That's a huge other thing that I was doing was just referencing artwork and stuff that I liked. I was pulling a lot of like old vintage Persian magazines from like
Mm.
times of like my grandmother and my mom. Uh, Probably stuff that like if they were to see what I was looking at, they would probably laugh. But I'm just like googling all this stuff and I'm referencing and I'm pulling inspiration. I'm just creating this like folder as I'm sketching on the iPad and stuff. And I think I already had the name already ready to go. I'm playing with like typography. I'm playing with like typing different ways. So I was like, okay, I came to the spaces of like, I think I know what I want. Um, and I find this like old magazine cover of like my mom's favorite singer, but she's young in the photo. She's like our Beyonce at the time. Her name's Gugush.
Whoosh, okay.
Um, I kind of do like a rough sketch over that magazine cover and I kind of slapped the logo and I was like, this is it. This is the first t-shirt that we're going
Yeah.
to come out with. And it's just going to be kind of just a first tie to back home. I think a little bit of also like my mom being such a big figure in my life, of course. I had to, you know, dedicate the first piece to her. So that's a little bit of a thank you,
Yeah.
mom piece.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I mean, that's
Yeah,
the thing, like, that's going back to your initial point of taking inspiration from, like, the people around you, and that's great to see how much your
right,
mom has influenced that. Mhm.
right. I think also it's like sometimes so at the time I'm like consuming a lot of just like the product. Of course, like I'm a Persian American designer, right? So I'm doing a lot of like I'm soaking in what's around me here. But I think somehow I always get drawn back to like, all right, stick to your roots, stick to
Mhm.
you. And I've seen that that's kind of what's kept the brand unique. I realized that's why people want to like that's what people are looking for actually. It's not as much as like me trying to be like everybody else. It's a matter of like, okay, even if I do try to do something that's amongst the current culture,
Mhm.
um, what is my spin on it, right? What is my take on that?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, has there ever been any hesitations in putting out merchandise that is connected to your culture, especially within the I know this is gonna
Um,
be, like, much deeper question than it has
yeah,
to be, but, like, I'm always like that. I'm like, "Let's just go deep and cut to the truth."
yeah,
But,
that's
like,
fine.
has that ever
No, I
given
don't
you
think that.
hesitation on that?
No, I just want it to be like. I think with that is like I have to understand that like coming from a culture that's so like rich, I have to make sure that I give a good sample size when I'm introducing my audience into the brand. So um I always want to make sure that it's like easy to digest at first. Until like as especially as we were building this foundation, I wanted to make sense right away. Which sometimes I kind of like when sometimes like what someone says, "What is that? Or what does that mean?" is a funny question at times, and even if it goes unanswered, I feel like as long as I have your attention, you'll start to get it. Um, but I think even with the topography itself of just like saying the brand name at times is like a good intro. And then like you start to slowly see, oh, like this is weird. Like it's you're looking at this vintage F1 Marlboro hat, but it's not in English. It's in like a
Yeah.
different language. So um I don't know. It's a different
Yeah.
spin.
No, I mean, I love that, and I think we need to embrace
Yeah.
that more, especially in the States. And
Right.
it's just interesting because I think about even with this podcast, like it's kind of unique in that way that I'm just connecting with people who I've met and who are exploring their curiosities and finding their passions. And um, I've had some people tell me like, "Yeah, I heard this episode about this person, man, like, that's so interesting. I never expected
Yeah.
that." And so I love that that's kind of what you're embracing with your brand as well, and educating people on, like, the Persian history and culture and things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, so far you started off with what, T-shirts, hoodies, hats, and then I don't know what else is in your catalog, but
What else is to come? Yeah, so we have first I did like a t-shirt and then I did these like small bags, travel bags. Something simple. And then we did a few more t-shirts and then yeah, now we're really kicking it off with the hats right now. Um and hopefully yeah, we have the hoodies as well. But I hopefully just want to keep like growing, getting into more like different pieces. I'm really like I think another thing that goes like so unnoticed, which I guess I gotta give myself a pat on the back, is like I'm truly like a student of fashion. Like I take my time to do research. I mean, I study like what goes into creating every garment piece. I try to do that as much as I can because I'm like I have to stay educated. I have to be ready for like whatever opportunity comes before me. Like hopefully I'll be ready for it. So um, I am looking forward to like making new pieces, whether that be pants, shoes, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Um, but again, I just try to stay fresh with this, keep studying the game,
Yeah.
and see what comes along.
Nice. So are you targeting a particular market? Is your brand like geared towards just men or women or whoever just decides to wear it? Or like for our
Yeah,
listeners who actually have never encountered your brand, like what is your style? How would you describe your style actually?
my personal
Well, your
style,
brand style. And then yeah, you can give me your personal
brand
style
style. Yeah,
after.
yeah. I think my brand style is, I guess, putting it in the subtopic of like what you would call streetwear. But then streetwear again is like a term that's like loosely thrown around now because I mean everyone wears clothes on the
Yeah.
street. You know, they put on a hat, they put on a t-shirt, just comfortable stuff. Um, but yeah, I mean, of course like I think it's something that like unique pieces that you draw inspiration from that kind of like you allows you to express yourself. Man, those can be simple pieces of clothing too. It can be a t-shirt, it can be a hoodie, it can be a hat. but I like seeing people put it together. I really like that our generation is kind of like doing these reference pieces of like looking back at vintage fashion, looking at like the way pants fit. You know, we went from skinny to looser pants, putting on denim jackets, stuff like that. Um, these hats that we've recently dropped are a big inspiration of like vintage F1 Formula One cars. Um, and of course, like a lot of those, some of the branding that we're using or like drawing inspiration from is now banned. But like our generation loves to romanticize, like, oh, back then they had this like artwork on the car, and now we can't
Oh,
have it now.
really? Wait, like, what do you mean it's
Yeah.
banned? Like,
So like a lot of the cigarette brands are like,
oh,
I guess, are banned from like doing
yeah.
advertisements now. But you go into the vintage store and you're like, you see these old
Yeah.
t-shirts that everyone's like, oh yeah, 40, $50. Yeah. You know, like, but you can't find those anymore.
But it's, like, funny because back then, like, you paid maybe, like, $5, $10, and now some of the
Yeah,
stuff that even I grew up with, I was like, "Dude, I paid, like, $8 for that, and they're charging, like, $60." Like, yeah,
exactly. No, I mean, even some of those shirts, I remember my dad just like wearing them around the house. So now I'm like, wow.
right?
Now I'm watching my younger cousin pay $50 for like resale.
What? Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
That's crazy. Wow. But I mean, it's really interesting. Have you explored Oh wait, actually, before I continue on with that question, now what
right.
about your personal style? Because we talked a little bit about your brands. What
Yeah.
about yours?
Yeah, my personal style as well. Again, I fall into the athleisure. I love athleisure, but at times I get tired of it because I feel like it's always what I'm wearing um, on a day to day. But I sometimes I'm like, if it's the weekend, I challenge myself. I'm like, okay, like now you got to put it on, man. You got to find those pieces that you've been purchasing from the mall, wherever it may be, and like put together a real outfit. But yeah, I think the same thing, just casual, comfortable. Uh, it might be inspired by someone that I saw. Oh, I saw LeBron's game the other night, and had this on. He had these type of pants on with this type of shirt. John Moran or someone. Um, just kind of exploring what I see on the internet, kind of studying that. I'm like, oh, I kind of like that outfit, and just like putting it together myself. Might be a pair of Nikes, jeans, a cool jacket. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, have you thought of maybe combining the 2, like the athleisure with street style and combining it to make, like, your
Yeah,
own
it's actually
thing?
yeah, I think I had a conversation with a good friend of mine about this. Since we do spend so much time going to like the gym, going outside for runs, doing anything active, and it's such a big part of my life. Whether we're playing basketball or we're going to the park to just throw a frisbee, um, I think it would be cool to have some pieces that would like live along those lines too. So definitely, it's something that's like in consideration to bring in. Like, I think a lot of it for me is like getting with the right
Yeah.
manufacturing, um, and making sure like I'm getting the right pieces of like something that I would actually wear myself too. Um, so I think, yeah, it definitely is a huge possibility and most likely will happen at some
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, because I mean, if that's kind of what you're wearing all the time, just being in Texas because it's so hot, like, you're gonna rep it anyway, and so you think about, like, "What would
Right.
I be wearing anyway?" And then you make it your own, and so you're constantly advertising, and so that's like a
Exactly.
that'd be a good mix too, because then you bring it over to Austin. Austin's all about, like, athletics and being outdoors, and so if you bring in that unique
Yeah,
style, it's like, yeah, man, like, made in Texas specifically for Texans or something. I don't
exactly.
know.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I really enjoy like I really love like athleisure in the sense of like it promotes a lifestyle, right? Like you're paying attention to what you're eating, you're being more active, you're tracking your calories. Like even though some of these things sound like goofy at times, but hey, like health is wealth at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like I'd love to see our generation like embrace that more too. So if my brand is pushing that narrative forward, then so be
Yeah.
it.
No, it is. It's, really important because Yeah, when you don't take care of your body, you eventually end up with medical bills that are way more expensive than if you just invested in, a little bit of nutrition.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
So I appreciate that you're like very conscious about the kind of manufacturers that you deal with. So for anybody who's also interested in getting into creating clothing and things like that, like what are some of the things that you have to consider when you are looking for a manufacturer?
Um, well, first I'll say for anyone that's starting off, I think getting into manufacturing is something you really have to be careful about. And I would take your time studying, as I have myself too. There's no like real manufacturer that I'm really tied to, or even like I would say like it's not one manufacturer that right now is like, oh, they have all my stuff. It's still me studying, figuring out what works, is their process match mine. So for the person starting off, I would say, hey, keep it local. Go find like your closest t-shirt shop. Find some blanks, whether even if it's Gildan, whatever the brand may be, wherever your price point is too. I think like I make these like reels where like I'll spray paint a shirt or a hoodie, like this one
Mm,
back here. Um, but I think like the reason is not to I think the reason the main mission when I make that video is I want some kid to see that who was in the same shoes as me when they were like maybe 16, 17, and say, "Oh, like all I need is a old hoodie and a spray paint can and I can go, start this process." And it really that's all it takes. I think like when I first created the first like version of this hat, I I like took a piece of tape and like did a quick like carve out of the logo and then I spray painted it outside and then I was like, oh, that looks cool. But I had to like visually, physically see it before like I was like, okay, now I can take these hats to the embroidery and tell them like this is exactly what I want. Well, back to the original question. Yes, I would say with manufacturing, one should definitely do studying. It's something that a lot of people do gatekeep, but the information is out there on the internet and on Instagram and whatever TikTok
everything.
even like you can find the information, but I would say study
Yeah. Mm.
and research.
And so, for I guess getting into that, what kind of like I'm just thinking like what kind of investment does somebody have to make just to even get started or to come up with a prototype? I know you gave that
Right.
example of like you can literally pick up an old
Yeah.
t-shirt and spray cans, but if somebody is trying to take a step back and be like, "Okay, but I want to plan for longevity. I'm trying to look long term," like
Right.
how can somebody plan for that? Or would you just say it kind of goes back to research and looking at what the market has to offer and the kind of
Yeah.
materials you're using?
I would say for as far as like I want to be fair to everyone's budget as well too, but I think that's like the ground level, right? Is like getting maybe you get a spray paint can and an old t-shirt and you start there. Um Another thing is like, okay, you start off with a small budget. Maybe you get, you know, maybe instead of going to the screen printer, you learn how to screen print yourself. Um, if it's embroidery, maybe you get a small sewing machine and start like stitching your logo onto a t-shirt. Um, but I think for everyone is to like either put away a small save up a small amount of money where you feel like, okay, maybe I'll start off with this small amount of shirts and I'll give it a go. And then hopefully you keep like increasing that amount and budget correctly. Um, but other than getting started and prototyping, I hope like you can just find like whatever your closest resource and tools are, just take those and use as much as you can. Stay lean, stay mean.
Yeah.
um, Learn Photoshop, learn Illustrator. Those are like two big tools of like anyone getting into the realm of graphic design and um, design in general. I feel like you can really draw up anything on there. Um, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. I mean, let me see. So, okay, so you got the inspiration in high school and you were 17, but you were taking a business class at the time. So did you end up going to college for design, or did you end up going to school for something else?
Yeah, so I always wanted to be a civil engineer growing up. And most of my family on my father's side, they are civil engineers. So they were a huge, inspiration to me growing up. And I wanted to do what they do. I wanted to learn what they were doing as well, which is now what I do on my day job, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. Actually, something I'm really proud of. But yes, I technically did learn the foundation of design through civil engineering. Um, and a lot of times, um, which funny enough, my favorite designer, Virgil Abloh, did also go to, he also went to civil engineering school for his undergrad,
Really?
and later became the head chief at Louis Vuitton. But yeah, I think like once you learn the process of design in whatever field it may be, it doesn't have to be civil engineering, it could be anything else. Like design has a very clear-cut process. You start somewhere, you draw up what your plan is, and then you go execute it. Um, in a rough summary. But I felt like once I did my 4 years of college and I learned like the thought process and like what really goes into, designing a building or a highway, um, and all the components that you had to think about. Once I graduated from that and started my career, I realized, oh, I can apply that to anything in life. Like as long as I know all the components that go into creating something, and I know like all the formulas and all the respective laws that I have to follow, I can do it. But it's important to me to be like cautious of those things and learn those things first before I get into it. But the process of design will probably lead you through, and you'll be able to create a small good foundation in math might help you, dimension your shirt, make sure everything's good. Um, so I don't know. I always have like this saying where like everything is relative to each other, even if most people can't see it, but you can probably relate to completely different things together.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. That's so ideas sin is actually it's pulled from three different concepts, and idea synthesis um is actually part of that, where it's like these different ideas that may
Gotcha.
seem totally irrelevant, like they can synthesize in a way that you might never have imagined or even experienced unless you
Right.
opened up your mind to a different way of perceiving it. Uh, yeah.
Exactly.
So it seems like you're civil engineering and then you're doing this. So you're working a little over full time, I'm assuming,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. For sure. I'm definitely working more than the over full time. Like I'm in overtime for sure. But I couldn't imagine doing anything else as far as like it feels weird to stand still sometimes for me. And not in like an unhealthy way, but I don't know. I just want to like make the most of this one opportunity of life that I have. So I want to be able to do as much as I can. And I think this is something we talked about in the store is I I hope I inspire people to do the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Like from the moment I wake up, I'm a civil engineer, I'm a designer, I'm an athlete for an hour of the day. I do all these things, and like I feel like I'm still not doing enough. Like I want to do more. So I hope that pushes other people to do the same. Don't be afraid. Like the second you start to like pick up I don't know, like a guitar, like you're already starting your journey as a guitarist.
Mhm.
Now you don't have to be the best in the world. You just have to enjoy it.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man. Yeah, it's really interesting finding those little passions. But for you, what ended up really sticking to be like, "Wait, no, I actually want to do this." Like, it's not just an idea that came to your head to be like, "Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, that'd be cool," or "I'd like to try that," but, like,
yeah, yeah,
what really like, was there anything in particular that really made you stick and be like, "No, I gotta do this." Like
yeah. I think there was a moment where I was like, I think I want this to be like I think there was a moment where I read something and I was like, okay, I think this is kind of what I want my life to be like. And that was a book actually, which is called Shoe Dog, um, which is the memoir of Phil Knight, the founder of Nike. Um, I read that like coming out of COVID, um, and I just remember this book having like such a huge impact on me, and kind of just watching this kid. Which when I started to read the book, he was at the same age that I was in the book. So when his story starts in the book, it was like the same age I was. So already I'm like plugged in. Um, and he talks about starting this shoe company where he wants to sell shoes, and then
Mhm.
now 50 years later we see like what Nike is. But kind of reading his story, I was like, I think this is how I want my next journey to go. um, and then which led me into studying, researching, and then doing the deep dive. Once I did the deep dive, um, we had our first pop-up shop in Houston. A lot of friends and family came out, and a lot of my friends supported me. They came out, my family supported me, and I think there was moments where I started to realize like I was starting to see like how every single person that was even a stranger, I think it's the interactions with the strangers, like the people that don't know me at all, that really inspire me the most, because I see, wow, like I'm really like creating something within their world as well, not so much mine anymore. And I think that's always the best feeling. I feel like if there's somebody out there that's like relates to this, or like they find it to be like cool and like inspiring, then I'm like, okay, that's what I'm here for. Um, so I don't know. I think it's those interactions that like really make me say, no, I got to keep doing this.
Yeah.
And like it's so funny when you look at your like journey up until this point, even you see
Yeah.
like you see like things that happen, and you're like, dang, I'm meant to do this, you know? So
Yeah. I appreciate that. Hmm. Yeah, I mean, and obviously, like, there's always times where you're like up and up, and you're like, "Yes, this is going. Like, I got this."
you're right.
But what about the flip side of it? Have you experienced moments where you're like, you know what, just forget this. Like, I'm giving up on this, or you were just like really struggling and getting to the point of giving up. Like, have you gone through that at all?
Yeah, so there's sometimes I'm really big on like I have to stay consistent, and I have to like work really hard at this if I want to do like take it to the heights that I want to take it to. Um and I think it's not a matter of like giving up. I don't think my personality will let me do that, sadly. I don't know. Like actually maybe it's the reason I'll win in the end. But there's this like constant of when I'm up, like it makes me want to keep going. But when there's times of like where things get kind of slow, there's times where I'm like get this anxious feeling, and I'm like, okay, what do I need to do to make this like roll again? Like how do I excite the people about this? And I'm still in such like a growing phase of like really getting our name out there. That I feel like I shouldn't even ponder too much about what I should do. I should just like do it,
Mhm.
do what feels natural. But I think it's that anxiety that's always like in the back of my head is like, I need to be doing something like to like, what am I going to do next week and the next week and the next week
Mhm.
to like make sure like Safa is up and running at all times. Um, Giving up, I don't know.
Mhm.
That feels really weird. That really feels like a weird thing to think about. Um,
That's
I
yeah.
feel like, yeah, I don't know. I can't even think like that
No,
right
that's
now.
good. No, that's great
Yeah,
because I know that there's gonna be times where some people go through that, but it's really nice and I think really encouraging for people to hear that yeah, you will go through those like slow periods of time, but it doesn't mean that you need to like give up on something or that things are not progressing. It's just that sometimes
right.
you could be outputting like 150%, but the
Yeah,
rest of your audience, like they're catching up to life and then they're slowly going to come around to the things that you've let out. It's like
exactly,
you're the trailblazer and now you're just waiting for people to catch up and follow you down that path.
exactly.
Yeah. And so mhm.
Um, Go ahead,
Oh, no, go ahead,
sorry.
go ahead.
I was gonna say just like, yeah, and also with that being said, I guess for like the next person like that goes on this journey is like it's okay to slow down sometimes, take some time and like reset. I think a lot of times like I see amongst peers is like they overthink some certain things so much and like they think like, okay, if I start this journey, like I have to be perfect every single day for the rest of this journey. And it's just like that's just not how life goes. And to be honest, like I don't think anyone's gonna champion that for too long. People want to see you like figure things out. They want to like be able to relate to you in the truest sense because everyone, whatever they're trying to do, it's always in a state of figuring it out. I don't think like anyone ever is like right there at the top right away.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Do you find that a lot of your friends or your peers are doing anything like this, whether it's like entrepreneurial endeavors or just pursuing different hobbies? Or like, I guess I'm just trying to gauge like where folks your
Yeah.
age are, because I know I'm older. So I'm just like, man, like are like, like younger generations, are they doing more entrepreneurial things or are they just kind of like hanging back? Just because it's such a change in society with things going on. And then with COVID hitting, like, I don't know if people are still passionate about going to college or still interested in, doing different things. Like, are they like, what's your take on that?
Yeah, of course. And like life is hard, right? Like we have like everyone's an adult, everyone has like responsibilities for like economic and like social things they got to get figured out at first, make sure they're like good to go. But as far as the people that are around me currently, um it feels like I'm starting to surround myself more with like-minded people like me that they're kind of like breaking that boundary in their mind of like, okay, I'm not just this whatever, 9 to 5. There's other things that like we want to accomplish. There's other things we want to do that are like quote unquote like just cool. Like we want to contribute to society, right? Last week, a very good friend of mine throws this like huge picnic, which he has like a page for and everything. Super big blanket. Check them out. Um, but yeah, he just like he throws this big picnic blanket out on Saturdays every once in a while, and you just see so many people our age, just like different creatives, whether that be music, art, photography, they all just come in and like hang out for a day. But it's like such a beautiful moment where everyone like networks, talks, you make new friends. Um, but him alone, he's someone that like is a huge influence on me because I feel like he just goes for it. He's not afraid of like, oh, what does so and so think? What does so and so think? No, we're just doing like the things that come to our mind and we're participating.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, how could
Yeah.
you do you have any advice for people who want to step past their comfort zone or this fear to kind of step into this realm?
Yeah. I guess the advice is I think it's a lot of is like there's not too much to overthink at the end of the day. Like there's a like our time here is very short and there's no you don't have like 1 second to waste of like thinking about what some other person that probably doesn't even think that about you is thinking, like making up this fake agenda in your mind of like what someone else is thinking. The fact of the matter is like probably most people are just chilling in a state of like doing work so focused on what they're working on, like they don't have too much time to think about like, oh, why is that person doing this. And most likely if you were to go and like put your full effort and like really try to do something meaningful, people will probably champion you and like people will slowly like come around to saying, hey man, like I like what you did here, especially that one person that you were worried about like saying something negative.
Yeah. And so, oh, go
I,
ahead.
I think it's like a funny dynamic of like how probably young people think. And I'm probably guilty of it at some point too. Like maybe I could have started this journey when I was 17, but it took some growth, some maturity to get to that, to get to where I am now.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody has their own timeline, right?
You're right.
Yeah. And so, do you have plans for expanding beyond this? Like, clothing brand?
Yeah,
I know we've talked about a few things
like
earlier, but how about anything else?
yeah, like I really want to create this sense of community wherever we're at. And again, like I said, like even with like even with me putting design and art studio on the side of the house or on the side of the hat, there's no house or anything that like is an actual design and art studio. Like the whole reason behind that was that um, I wanted people to use like whatever space they had to themselves to like do it. Um, I wanted someone to say, okay, like I can go into the park and like paint the next Mona Lisa. And like it wasn't no fancy like art school that I went to or anything. It's just like I just went for it, like in the space that I had and the time that I had. So I think like I want to collaborate more with other like creatives. Someone like yourself, like bumping into you into in the clothing store and you telling me about your podcast, I was like, well, now it feels like you're automatically interconnected to the brand in a
I
way.
know. I
Like,
gotta like the shop
yeah,
around too, so I can rep it over here in Austin.
yeah. I got to send you some pieces for sure. But even with like my friend who does the picnic, it almost feels like you know when like there's people there wearing my hat, which are like my close friends. It almost feels like oh, this is all like we're all creating this small community. You know, there's people that see it, they're like, oh, what is that? You know, um, but I think it takes more than just me, of course. I can't do it all by myself, but I want to like get with those like-minded people and really like push the art and the culture and grow everyone's brand, not just mine.
Yeah. Yeah, because we are all connected and we all bring different
Right.
perspectives and ideas and yeah, just bouncing things off of one another. It really expands out because you have no idea how vast someone's network can actually be. So it's great
Right.
to pick up things and pick up different ideas and things like that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Have you gone into marketing more like locally, or how would you say that you're trying to expand out on like your brand, your mission, your ideas? Like, how are you trying to do that?
Yeah, I feel like when I first started, like especially the first pop-up, like I did such a good job of like putting together like this almost art gallery-esque pop-up shop. And I think like I became kind of more like curious into like trying to figure out how the internet works. So like growing Instagram, growing TikTok. But now I'm like, okay, like I still need to. I think that's one thing on my to do list for this year too. Is like I still need to do like the local interaction, like face to face
Mhm.
with people. Because I think like you make a real like impact on people, even if they don't follow you or whatever the case may be. It's important for people to see that. Um, so yes, I will say doing more like local and getting in touch with people is a big goal of ours this year, and I really want to push
Mhm.
that.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Hopefully, something in Austin as well. I really been looking forward to like doing something out there,
yeah.
but I think I just need to put it on the calendar and say this weekend, like we're doing a pop up
That would be awesome, and you gotta let me know so I can, like, tell folks around here and,
for sure.
yeah, if I know of any events or I always have random, like, ideas that are, like, brewing in my head for different
Right,
projects and things like that, so I'm always exploring. So I'm more than happy to
right,
share, like, anything that comes to mind that would be, like, really cool and unique. I mean, like,
for sure.
right now I'm doing a lot of this out of my home, but at some point, it's like I wanna potentially move it into, like, an actual studio, which I'm already kind of in the works
Right,
of setting something up in that way.
awesome.
But yeah, just having, like, in-person meetups is just, like, really nice to have, and yeah, I know that there's tons of random events, and especially here in Austin, there's always like local like art events or like small business, this and that connections. And so
Right,
I'm more than happy to share that with you, especially if it is more design focused or like clothing brand. but I'm happy to be open, like, to see what else is out there if you have
No,
ideas.
for sure, and I really need to look into more of those events, and I feel like Austin does have a little bit more of, like, different things like that, whether that even be, like, they'll do a pop-up where, like, it's not just one vendor, but it's a bunch of vendors, everyone's just hanging out, there's live music, our generation likes to do stuff like that, just hang out, so I think there's a real beauty to that, and then, like, being there just as a host is, like, beautiful.
Mhm. Oh, you know what I just thought of? Have you gotten involved in, like, any festivals? That could
No.
be, like, an interesting, like, way to get into because that's, like, a shit ton of people coming into, like, one area, and that'll get you a
Right.
lot of exposure too.
It will, yeah, no, and I think that's so important for us, like, starting off too, is, like, making those connections to, like, whatever artists are out there, because I want it to, like, be a piece where, like, a fellow artist who's a fellow artist saying that, and it's like, "Okay, you're a part of this, like, club that is Safa," you know? So definitely, like, I do need to do stuff like that, like, a festival would be awesome.
Yeah, right? Oh, man. Yeah, and there's a lot of festivals here in Austin too, so it's just, like, keeping an eye out for, like, the good ones, uh, and seeing what's around. Yeah, I mean, so you got your friends and did you get any of your family to rock your gear too?
Man, my family, I think, like, I'm just starting to, like, make my dad kinda, like, see the vision a little bit,
Okay.
but I don't know, I feel like with family of course, my parents are, like, super supportive, um, but they kinda I feel like sometimes they're like, "We wanna see what you can do with this." I think
Oh.
they're very, like they put that kinda competitive nature in my mind, so I'm always like, "Alright, let me." It doesn't matter if they're wearing it. It's like if they see like, "Oh, there's people actually wearing this," they're like, "Oh, yeah, he's doing it.
Yeah.
He was not joking around." So, they know I'm very serious about it, and they're a huge support with anything.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and the rest of my family as well. Of course, my cousins, they wear it.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
I know, like, sometimes, like, your cousins are just like your other siblings, honestly, like, one of my cousins is
Yeah,
like another brother to me, and it's so great to
exactly.
connect with them.
No, it is for sure. They helped me a lot with the first pop-up as well
Mhm.
too. Um, they basically sat and helped me with the first set, them and my best friend.
Oh,
So,
nice. So what did you have to do to even plan a pop-up? Like, what does that even consist of?
um, I think you really don't need much. Most people probably for the pop-up that we did, it was like you can just bring like racks of clothes and just like set up. But I had like a very crystal clear vision of what I wanted. I wanted it to feel kind of like an art gallery, even though we were going to be next to other vendors. So I wanted to like kind of stand out a bit. What we did is we built like these. We went to Home Depot, got a bunch of wood planks, and then these boards, and we created like these white, kind of like almost like a museum type wall that we could just like post up
Yeah.
there. We made like two of those, and then I made like these print out like portraits with like the artwork that I was telling you that I was
Yeah.
referencing, and then with our typography on there. And then I just put one rack with like one T-shirt, which was all the same. It was like just come pick out what size you
Yeah.
wanted, and then I put a Persian rug in the middle. It came out nice.
Yeah.
So I think like that was the biggest thing is I wanted it like when you walked by to be like, oh, this is interesting.
Mhm.
Um, and the funniest thing that day was like a few people would come by and say like, "Hey, can I buy the artwork?" And I was like, in the back of my head, I'm like thinking of like, we printed this artwork like on a big mega
Yeah.
printer, and I'm just like, it's a piece of paper stuck to a thing, and I was like, no, you can't have it.
Well, maybe that's a thing. If people like it,
Yeah,
like, that
yeah,
could be,
no, it
like,
was super
another
interesting.
product you sell too.
I mean, I'm kind of glad I kept them, but knowing me, like I probably would have just gave it to whoever that kid was. I was like, "Hey, are you selling
Yeah.
the artwork?"
Oh, that's cool. Okay, so you got clothing and then you got art, literally. Because you have the
Yeah, yeah,
idea for, like, an art museum already, so maybe that's, like, your
right.
other little avenue is, like, even more art pieces.
Yeah, and it became like an interesting talking piece
Yeah.
because I think like everyone was curious. everyone's first question is like, what is this brand
Yeah.
about? And at the time, it was a good way to like show, okay, like this is what our first t-shirt is inspired by. It was me taking like this Persian figure who was on this old cover, and she was also wearing like Western wear. I forgot to
Really?
mention. So
Okay.
that was kind of like the melding of my two worlds,
Oh
being
my
from Houston,
gosh,
Texas, and then
yeah.
like,
Oh,
yeah,
that's so
yeah.
cool.
Sorry, I forgot to mention that. um, but yeah, it was like that was kind of a good place to like explain what was going on because you're seeing like these very Texan themed pictures on the wall, but like underneath everything's written in Farsi of like star, cactus, you
Yeah.
know, like horse, like so that was kind of my vision for the first
Oh,
t-shirt.
I love that. Yeah, I love combining, like, very unique things and then making it into something
Yeah.
else. Oh, man. See, and then as you're describing that, like, the art museum, and then you got your pieces, and then the rug, I was like, "Man, I wonder if he's got, like, some coffee." Just
Yeah,
adding
yeah. No, we were even thinking about like giving out tea to people and
Yeah.
I was like, okay guys, this is getting this is getting out of hand. But no, it was great.
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, if you end up coming to Austin and you do a pop-up, I'll be more than happy to sit there and pour people's coffee and tea. I'll be like, "Alright,
No,
here you
that would be
go."
amazing. That would be amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I think that's the whole thing is like I wanted someone to be able to like walk past the pop-up and like feel like they went through an
Yeah.
experience rather than like me just trying to sell a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Because everyone at that like event was selling t-shirts, but I wanted a real like experience.
Yeah. Yeah, as I think about that with the experience, so in Puerto Rico, we used to have at my grandparents' place in a small rural area in the mountainside, like people neighbors would always come by the house and then they stop by and then they have coffee and tea. And I'm like thinking that could be a really good way to bring in customers because if you're giving them a beverage, it's like they now have to take
Right.
extra time to drink that coffee or that tea. And so they're going to be hanging out more. They're going to be looking at your stuff. You're going to be able to talk to them more a little bit, hopefully.
Right.
And then, yeah, that ends up creating more time in your space versus time in somebody else's space. So I feel like
Right.
there's some type of like, I don't know, little magic there when it comes to having a drink or little snacks and things like that. But
Yeah.
it can be extra work. I know that though.
I think like that's actually really well said. And I'm having like this aha moment as we're
Mhm.
speaking. But it's like kind of like it's a part of our culture too to be like welcoming to people, right?
Mhm.
Like I wouldn't tell you to come to my house and like not hand you anything. Like, you
Yeah.
know, if you were to come into like our Persian household, like of course I'm pouring you up a glass of tea, like I'm giving you like some sweets, you know, there's probably fruit on the
Yeah.
table. But that's kind of us like welcoming you into our home. Like, hey, and I'm gonna ask you like 10 times, like, hey, can I get you anything? This is gonna feel really overbearing. But uh, yeah, like those I think that's the like those are the things that make the event like memorable in people's
Yeah,
minds.
yeah, because now they are experiencing your culture, and it's like, "Oh, I get
Yeah.
this now," and yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so what else about your culture would be a little more unique in comparison to, like, the US culture? I haven't had a chance to go explore and all of that and learn, but,
Yeah.
like, from your experience, what do you think is are some of the big differentiators?
Um think like as far as like people go or just like
Hmm. I guess it could be both, like, people and
or
culture. Yeah.
mannerism. I don't know. I feel like with Persian culture, like you're supposed to acknowledge other people. You're supposed to say hello. You know, a lot of times I see like a lot of people here. Um, you know, they don't say hi to each other. They're a little cold. Like in Iran, that's like kind of rude to be honest. Like and like my dad always told me, it was like when you see someone, you say hi. You know, even if it's from a mile away and they can't hear you, you say hi. And make sure they know they exist.
Yeah.
There's you know this hospitality that I feel like sometimes is missing here, and but I mean it. I think like going all those summers to Iran, it's like instilled in me now. I want to be like nice to people. I think it's also like something that clashes with like me growing up here
Mhm.
too. Is I need to be like be more like that. I need to be nice to people. You know, like invite them over. You know, hey, come check this out.
Yeah.
Like, um, I think that's like a big thing in our culture is like just respect amongst others.
Mhm. Yeah, I definitely I feel that too. That's one of the things I've always noticed is sometimes the lack of community within the
Right.
US and how sometimes it can be hard to cultivate that or even know where to look for
Right.
community. Um, I mean, would you say like Persians typically are very close to one another? Like, do you guys usually get together and I don't know, like have
Yeah.
get-togethers and parties and festivals and things like that? Or is it a
Yeah.
bit more, like, chilled out and more like, "Nah, it's okay, we could check in, but I'll see you in, like, 2 weeks or a month," or something?
No, I was literally talking to my, grandmother about this.
Oh,
I
really?
was saying, like I was kinda trying to explain, like, American culture to her
Yeah.
a little bit as opposed to, like, ours. I'm like, ours is, like, you're very, like, in each other's realm all the
Uh,
time, and it's, like,
yeah,
normal, you know? Like, I know what my cousin's doing, my cousin knows what I'm doing. It's like that sibling it's you feel more like siblings rather than, like, cousins at
yeah,
times. As opposed to here is like you look at a lot of like American families is like they might not speak to their cousin for a year and be like, "Oh, hey, how's it going, John?" You know, but here
yeah,
it's like within our culture is like we're always at each other's house. We're always calling one another.
mhm,
Um, always know what's going on. If somebody needs something like, "Oh, my youngest cousin is struggling with math homework," I'm gonna try to help him as much as I can, even though if there might be an age gap or whatever the case may be. But I think it's that sense of community that's just like very strong. Um, you know, you're always like, I don't know, you're always like looking out for one another.
yeah, yeah, I appreciate that. That's a yeah, 'cause in Puerto Rico, like, I remember my grandfather and grandmother, um, they would drive around the neighborhood, and they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna stop by Doña Rosa's house or whatever because she's sick,
Yeah,
and we're
yeah,
just gonna go bring her some soup," or they're driving, doing a slow roll next to one of the neighbors' houses, and they're like, "How's your son in college?" And it's like, "He's doing great," and then
right,
everybody's just chilling out on the porch and
exactly.
just, like in their rocking chairs just hanging
Yeah,
out, but yeah, it's that sense of community where it's like they're not super close, but they know enough to just, like, catch up on what's happening in each other's lives.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Especially in Iran, I would say is really like that.
really.
Like my grandmother's like lived in a very like tight knit street, and then like everybody knows each other. And I basically like I'm spending 3 months of my summer as a kid
Yeah,
with all these like young kids, and like now they're just like my cousins and family too.
yeah,
But yeah, everybody knows everything. It's like everyone looks out for one another. It's not abnormal for like your neighbor to, which is your friend too. They come and knock on your door and it's like, hey, we had some sweets left over.
yeah,
Um, like here, take some. But I've seen to where like people will make soup and like take it across the whole neighborhood and like hand it out to
yeah.
each other. But like I've never seen something like that here. Like
No.
if your neighbor comes up to your house with soup randomly on a Tuesday, you're like, oh no, they're trying to poison you.
I know, right? It's like select neighbors. I've definitely had, like, neighbors and roommates where we're like, "Yeah, let's share food and this and that," and,
Yeah,
like but it's not very common, at least, like, where we are,
yeah.
but yeah. Man.
I remember seeing, this one lady at the end of her street, she was really nice, like, all of these people, like my grandma knows all their names too, it's, like,
Yeah.
crazy, but, like, she had this big pot and, it was, like, just making this soup that I'm talking about, and I'm like, "Damn, she's really cooking for, like, everybody on the street."
Yeah. It's like, "Grandma, is that for the week?" It's like, "No, man, this is
Yeah,
today and for our neighbors," like
this is too bad. Exactly.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, I mean, like, and I know I'm kinda diverting a little bit because I just wanna learn more about the culture,
Yeah.
but what about, like, the food? What is that typically like? What do you guys usually like to eat?
Yeah, definitely you need to check out Persian food if you get the chance, but it's a lot of, like, kebabs, rice, there's a lot of rice dishes, but, stews and stuff like that that you pour over
Yeah.
rice. It's good. Kinda like, I would say, like, very similar to
Mhm.
Mediterranean,
Mhm.
that maybe you've gotten the chance to experience a bit, but, yeah, Persian food mostly is, like, kebabs, rice, stuff like that. Meat and rice
Okay.
usually.
Yeah, Puerto Rican culture, it's the
Yeah.
same thing, like, we have stews, lots of rice and beans and different meats and
Right.
things like that. Yeah. Are there any types of food you guys don't eat typically?
Um I would say like probably besides like pork and like I would say like they pretty much eat everything. Like they have a lot of like goat dishes, lamb dishes, some interesting stuff. Trying to think what else they wouldn't eat. No, I think they're pretty open. Um, they're pretty open to try anything. I think even the pork thing is like a religious like decision.
Okay. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah,
okay, and then if somebody is going to visit, are there any type of, like, cultural things that you have to be aware of? So, obviously, like you said, saying hi to people, like, acknowledging
yeah,
people. Is there anything else that
right.
typically you should be aware of when you go visit?
I think like Iran, like probably like off rip, probably people assume like this really like negative connotation based off like pop culture, but like no, it's funny. Like if you go as a tourist, I feel like they might treat you like you'll get a very VIP experience of like people are like always like so fascinated that you're coming from somewhere else.
Mm.
Especially myself, even like when they would find out that oh like my grandmother's grandson is coming from America, they would get so excited, and then like their whole attention, everything was like on me. And like it was crazy. Like they're trying to practice English with me. They're
Oh.
like, "Oh, I have to take you here. I have to take you there." The culture is like very welcoming and like they really want to like show you a good time. And they also want to learn a lot too. The young people there, they want to really like learn like what else is going on in your side of town. Like what's going on in your side of the world, as opposed to like I feel like, and most of the time they know already. They'll tell me stuff. They used to tell me things that I was like, I don't know what you're talking about, but it might have been about the political climate that I was
Yeah.
in. Um, I feel like sometimes as Americans we're like really shut off to the rest of the world.
Mhm.
Um, but they're like very curious and they want to know everything
Oh, that's
and they want to show you a good time for sure.
No, I gotta go to bed. No, it's only 5 in the morning. We still have 2 more hours.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, I think that would be I would love to hear what you get, like, when you go back home and, like, what kind of I don't know, like, inspirations you get from going back there because I'm sure there's
Yeah,
different types of, like, colors or textures or patterns, textiles that, like, you can incorporate into your design that are very unique to
for
Iran
sure.
versus here, and I think
Yeah,
that's gonna, like, make your brand, like your brand's already, like, popping, so I just, like, love seeing you incorporate, like, your heart and your background into that.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I was talking to my best friend about that too. It's like there's definitely balance too, but yeah, I do want to incorporate more of it and like really show like, okay, if y'all want more of my culture, I got it ready for you guys. But I think it's like always finding that balance too of like trying to at times I feel like I'm in this middle world
Mm.
of like that maybe only a few people, but it should be. I feel like most kids with like immigrant parents can probably relate to is like you're not so much like the kids over here, and you're not so much like the kids over there. You're just
I
like
know,
a mix of
it's
the
just like,
two.
I don't know, just over here somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I let that shine through the brand a little bit. That conflicting or maybe that melding of two cultures. But yeah, no, I definitely, and I think that's like really interesting to all of us, right? Like that we bring in these like cultural deep rooted stuff, whether that be the textures, fabrics, designs.
Mhm.
Um, I think people are excited to see that. I think that's the reason like why someone goes to like a Chinese restaurant, right? Like they want to
Yeah.
see like they want to experience that world.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, and I mean, here, I know there's, like, some Mediterranean restaurants and things like that, and some Middle Eastern restaurants, but, like, there
Right,
aren't, like at least here, I don't know, I grew up in, like, the Philly area, Northeast Boston, and going to New
right,
York, and, like, it feels like sometimes they would kind of integrate some of the Middle Eastern type of foods or Mediterranean foods,
right.
and they wouldn't always, like, differentiate, like, a particular style. I mean, like, do you
Yeah.
think that some people are okay with just, like, sharing their culture like that and just kinda doing, like, a crossover with, like, food and style?
Yeah,
When I guess when it comes to the
so I
States
think
anyway, you know?
yeah, well, I feel like I've done a lot of like uh, I'll say like the positive things about the states, and it's specifically like Houston, which I think is like a superpower of a base to have. Is like it's such a big melting pot of different cultures, and I've started to realize like a lot of my friends, they are aware of like each other's cultures now, like especially this younger generation, like they already know like, oh, your family's celebrating this, like I know why
Mhm.
y'all do this, like, and even if they don't know, they'll go out their way to ask. But yeah, like in Houston, you can, it's so easy for me to tell a friend like we have 3 4 options of like solid Persian
Oh,
food
really?
places that
That's
we can go
dope.
to.
I
Yeah,
don't
besides you coming to my house,
Yeah.
but like yeah, it's like that's one thing I will say, like you can really, if you wanted to experience someone's like culture, you they can probably show you like being in
Mhm.
Houston, at least a preview of it for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, now I'm, like, curious to see if we have anything here in Austin. I'm gonna, like, Google it
Yeah,
specifically and let you know.
yeah. Yeah, definitely I will say like I guess that is one identity of the brand too that shines from here is that um at the end of the day, no matter what your background is, like you can shine here, and Houston will accept it, and they will water that seed for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and I mean, Sam, is there anything else that you wanna, like, share with our listeners as we go to wrap things up? Like, any final pieces of advice or things about your brand, things that we didn't get a chance to really cover? I know we got a chance to kinda talk about a number of things quite generally, and I could dive in so much more, but I'm gonna be
Yeah,
conscious of your time.
no, for sure. No, I'm really curious also to like learn more about your culture too. I honestly, I've always wanted to like go to Puerto
You
Rico and
should.
stuff, check it out, check out the culture, and I most likely will in the near
Yeah,
future. But as far as I mean, this is like one of the first conversations we're having too,
I know.
apart from like actually meeting each other.
Yeah.
So, no, it was a pleasure being on this podcast, and like I really want just people to see this and like feel inspired. Take that first step, like if or take the 10th step, like keep going is like my biggest message to people. Um, there's always time to research and study and learn. I think that's like our biggest duty as like humans is to like keep learning till the end of life. Like just learn as much as we can, and with that knowledge, like make a difference in our immediate community. And hopefully, it just keeps growing and like branches out and inspires others. Um, but yeah, I think that's my biggest message, like with the brand. And I'm gonna continue to like my personally keep continuing to learn. Uh, keep our audience like engaged and really like build this foundation, which I still feel like we're building, is like build this foundation of this brand. Because I want to build something with longevity and like purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I really appreciate everything that you shared because it's great to hear, that vision that you initially had and then you just kind of stuck with that gut instinct and you continue to follow it to create something completely like new and very custom to who you are
Right.
and personalized to your culture and your background. So I think that's really important for people to keep in mind. If you're going to go do something, like make sure there's always like a little piece of you or some type of personalization attached to whatever it is that
Right.
you're creating, because that's what's really going to connect and sell with people, because it's like,
Yeah.
wow, this is different from everything else. Um, and
Yeah.
so, I mean, do you have like some contact information that you want to share? I'll ping you after our call and get that
Oh
stuff. But
yeah.
like, is there any way that folks can reach out to you or your brand?
Yeah, definitely. The biggest thing like people can do is follow Safa Design on Instagram and TikTok. Um, but that's at Safa Design. I guess we'll pin it down below
Yeah.
or wherever it may be. And yeah, just stay tuned. We're gonna keep having new pieces, new designs. If you are an artist, photographer, musician, whatever the case may be, don't be afraid to send me a DM. Um, and hopefully, I get around to seeing it, and whatever the case may be, we can get together and do something.
Yeah.
Whether that me designing something for you, or you want to come work on a photo shoot, or whatever the case may be. That's what I'm trying to build, is a community of artists that can come together.
Yeah. Yeah, I know some photographers. See, you come to Austin and I'm already thinking of like different places where you can shoot and
For
like,
sure.
okay, yeah. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, yeah. We're definitely gonna draw up some plans on the board of what we need to
I know, right?
do.
Yeah, it'll be fun. But yeah, thank you so much for your time. I really
No,
appreciate
thank you,
you.
Denise.
And it was so cool running into you and just getting to hang out with you and your friends. And I really appreciate you following up and like joining my podcast. It's going to be great.
No, thank you so much for having me on the podcast. This is my first podcast. Hopefully, I get to do more.
Yeah.
But no, thank you for giving us the platform to like share this experience, and it's good. I think it's always good to like reflect on like how far someone has come.
Mhm.
Um, and again, the platform inspires others, so I'm 100% behind it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly another reason why I wanted to do this podcast was to have conversations with people who I've met in my life and have influenced me or inspired me in some way. And even just regardless of where this podcast goes, it's like I have this in my archive that I can go back to and be like,
Right.
man, like we had this story, we
Yeah.
did this, or we talked about that. And it's just, it's beautiful to share those stories and to hear other people's
Yeah.
experiences.
Yeah, I guess another tidbit for like other creatives is like there is no real failure in this. Is like once you start, you realize there is no failure.
Yeah.
Like it's just like you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Love that.
Thank
All right, Sam. Well, thank you so much. And
you for having me,
yeah, of
Denise.
course. And to our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. Like always, feel free to check out the bio where I'm going to have some of the information that Sam provided along with his contact information. So feel free to go check that out and follow him and see what products he has out there because he's constantly innovating. So check out the new styles that he's got. All right.
Yes.
Thanks, everybody.